the prerequisites. I just improved your offer. I'm like, there's a lot of things I could definitely help you with if you wanted me to help you. But I'm like, good luck. And he was like, no, I want you to help me. And I was like, oh. And I was like, all right, we'll call Dustin. He's our sales guy, and he'll sign you up. And it was done, like right then. Like wired us $25,000 a couple hours later, and like I never push, but I think a lot of people are like, all right, how do I sell? And so is it cool if I give like a framework? Because there's a framework I have for sales that right now is operating on like a 90% plus close rate. I shared this on like a live training, and people are freaking out about it.
Which just to be clear, if your close rate is over 50% in sales, you're doing good.
Over 25.
100%.
Yeah, over 20. If you close a quarter, in fact, our goal, and we actually were one of the highest in the company at the time. If you could close at 25% of new leads that come in, you're closing at a very high rate. The average in the company was like 16 to 17%.
Well, and you guys had a lot colder traffic too. Yeah. I think a lot of people that are implementing this framework, slightly warmer traffic, and traffic source has to be considered.
Well, I don't care where you're talking. If
90% is high though. Yeah. So, ultimately, we've all heard you got to open up the gap, right? Ask a lot of questions. I like to be super direct. Like, get on the sales call, do the whole rapport building thing, exchange pleasantries, and then it's like, great. So let's open up the gap. Where are you at today? Where do you want to get to? Let's figure out how I can help. Immediately open that up. Like, this is where you're at, pain, this is where you want to get to. How can I help? They tell you this is where most people fuck up. You need to restate that. They need to, number one, know that you heard them, but number two, they need to hear it in a manner that's worse than the way they said it. So if they're like, well, I'm 20 pounds overweight, and I want to lose 20 pounds so I can blah blah blah. Got it. So just to confirm, today you're 20 pounds overweight, like you don't like feeling that way, it's hindering you, like your wife's not looking at you as much, like I don't know what else is going on, but there's probably a few things you didn't tell me.
Piled it on there.
All right. And so like I'm gonna dig that knife in a little bit deeper. Is that right? And you capture that commitment. Yeah, that's right. Okay, dope.
Can I pause real quick?
Yeah.
Here's why that's important. It's because it's not important because you're manipulating the person to feel bad. What Jason is doing is he's revealing the person to
getting
themselves.
To connect to their feelings.
Yes.
Because I'm going to tell you something right now, and I guarantee someone watching this right now, a lot of people watching this understand. When you first walked into a gym, that's not the first time you thought about it.
Exactly.
You've been thinking about it for a long time, and you finally walked in, and it's probably months or even years of pain and challenge. So when you go in, and the person says, "What would you like to do?" and this is your answer, "I just want to get in a little better shape." No. That's not really how you feel.
Let's
and
go
so
deeper than that.
what you're doing is you're revealing the person to themselves, but also they see that you understand. I know I said I want to get in a little better shape. Boy, this trainer understands me. This shit sucks, and I really want to make a change.
And to add to that, and I used to tell trainers this all the time, that many times clients are just going to give you a surface answer to that. Yep. And so you reframing it or
protection.
That's right. It is. And they're going to put this wall up a little
smoke
bit.
Screen.
Yeah.
They don't want to get vulnerable.
Because I'll tell you right now, you know how many times I've had someone sitting in front of me, and in the first 5 minutes we're touching on their goal, and then the first 5 minutes it's, I want to tone my arms up a little bit, and I'd like to lose like 15 or 20 pounds. And then an hour and a half later of hanging out with me and really getting connected, all of a sudden they're crying, telling me about what their husband said to them when she came out of the shower or some shit. Nothing to fucking do with all these other goals. And there is what drove her into, and making sure that you guys can all connect on why that person is so important. So getting there, right? Making sure you're getting to the real reason, and then being able to say it back to them so they can make that connection. So important.
Had to stop there because I
think that's huge. I think we all perceive vulnerability to be a function of trust, except it goes both ways. You don't just become vulnerable when trust is present. When you become vulnerable, you also create trust.
That's right.
And so I think as you're getting them, as you're capturing their commitment to vulnerability, you're now building trust in the relationship, right? I mean, if we think about it, I met you guys 2 years ago. I would tell you guys way more things today than the very first time I walked in, and probably vice versa, right? Because it was surface level at the time. We've become better friends, and it's like it happens in every facet of life. So, all right, so we open up the gap, right?
Yeah, open the gap. That. You restated to them. You got their commitment. Now we want
to cross off all of the shit they've tried. We want to rehash a little bit more pain. So, listen, I'm assuming this isn't the first thing you've tried to help this, right? Like, I'm sure you've tried other things, or you've worked with other coaches. Like, tell me a little bit about that. What have you done in the past? Keto, carnivore, fasting, vegan, blah, blah, blah. Got it. Again, restate to them all of the things, but make it sound worse. So got it. So you did keto. You want carbs. I get it. I had cake earlier today. I love carbs too. It's cool. You tried that carnivore thing, except you realize there's more to life than meat. Like vegan, don't get me started. Like I want a burger too. And fasting, like let's be honest, I get hungry in the morning and I love pancakes. Cool, right? So those didn't work, right? Right. You have to get that commitment because they have to remind you those things didn't work because they'll use those as excuses later in the call.
Would you mind if I pause you again?
Yeah,
I love this.
I think this is perfect because like more people need to understand the phases.
No, this is I taught and trained this for years, and the reason why you do that is because every statement that you say to the other person can be true or false. Yep. So if I tell Jason right now, the best flavor of ice cream is chocolate. I don't know, true or false? He could think yes, he could think no. But if I say the best flavor of ice cream is chocolate, wouldn't you agree? If he says yes, we now both agree. So the reason why you get that commitment as you go along is because you got to both be on the same page, and you'll run it and you'll see the snags if that happens. Well, no, that's actually not how I feel. All right, let's dig a little deeper. We can't continue to move on unless we both understand where we're at and we both agree. So that's why it's important to ask, is that right? Because now it makes all those statements true. Yeah,
and I mean, if you're ever selling from stage or selling digitally or even on Zoom, you're also capturing micro commitments. You're getting them in the habit of, yep. You want to take my money? Yep. Right. So you're moving them along. So once we've gotten the rapport, we've gotten the gap, and we've gotten out of the way what they've tried. This is where I think the gold lives, is in this one single question. At that moment, I'll literally be like, dope. So what's the plan now? And they're like, I don't know. Or it gets really silent. And I'm like, surely you have something in your mind. Like, what are you going to try? And they're like, no, I don't know. Oh, well, that's a problem. So you want to lose 20 pounds. Now I'm going to reset your goal. So you want to lose 20 pounds, but you have no idea how you're going to get there.
You've tried all these things. Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Oh. Well, or like, that's one answer. The other option is, well, keto worked initially, so I thought about going back to that. Boom. This is your chance to destroy false beliefs. Because if they're thinking that, they're going to use it as an excuse later in the call. Let's destroy that now. So like, well, keto worked for me, so I was thinking about going back to that. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I should have clarified your goal. Did you say you want to lose 20 pounds and keep it off, or you want to lose 20 pounds and regain it? Because if you want to lose 20 pounds and regain it again, it sounds like keto's a great solution. You should definitely do that. But if you want to lose 20 pounds and keep it off, that didn't work for you. So which one was it? Like, well, I want to keep it off. Oh, so do you think keto's going to work? No. Got it. So what's your plan? And I always bring you back to what's your plan. You're like, I don't fucking know. As soon as I capture that commitment, you're rendered helpless.
That's right. You want to get them to tell you, I don't have a plan, or I don't know. Yeah.
You're fucked. So it's like, great. Now you don't want to go into presentation, is where most coaches will go like right into presentation mode. Well, this is how I'm going to help you. And you scare the shit out of them. And it's like, okay, well, I got to ask you, there's a lot of potential solutions in the world, right? There's no shortage of diets, no shortage of coaches. Why me? Why are you on the call with me? Why are you seeing me right now? And this is where you're going to get the next piece of gold. And they're going to tell you what it is either they love about your program, they heard about your program, so like something specific to you and what you do, or they're going to give you, oh, I saw a so-and-so result. They're going to say that they love your social proof, right? And build you up. Got it. So you saw Jane, she lost 20 pounds. In fact, a lot of our clients are losing, 20 to 30 pounds on average. It's actually really simple because of our system, right? Like Jane's amazing, don't get me wrong, but it's the system that repeatedly works. I'm sure that if you saw Jane, you saw Mary, and you saw Karen, and you saw that they have similar results, right? Right. That's when it's like, do you want to know how it works? Do you want to know how it works? Not I work, not my coaching works, not anything about me. It. Okay. You're putting all the power on your system.
Okay. It's also now, the scalability part of that is massive.
Thank you. Huge. Because one of the hardest transitions that a trainer, and I remember experiencing this as a trainer myself. When I first became a trainer, I had a lot of clients right out the gates. I loved it. And then I went to become a fitness manager. So within 4 months, I was managing trainers, and I had to learn how to not sell myself. Because I'm a manager. I can't train all these people.
Yep.
So how do I sell fitness without selling me? So this is why this is so important, because you sell the system, and then later on, if you want to scale your business with other coaches that you train and reach more people, it's not just about you, it's about the system.
Well, and if you don't scale has to be.
If you don't figure this out now, the best and worst thing ever happens, which is you ignore it right now, you don't realize it's a problem, you do such a good job of selling yourself, then you reach a point of critical mass and you're like, oh fuck, I'm still not to that big financial goal I wanted to get to, but I am completely booked, completely loaded, and I don't know where to go from here because I've been selling myself this entire time.
I learned this the hard way. I got to 167 clients on my own. I was doing over 30K a month as a
Not
solopreneur.
sleeping.
I worked 20 hours a day.
Yeah,
and I had
definitely.
no concept. But we started this with one thing, which was, do you know your offer? This is where knowing your offer becomes critical. Because when I say, do you know how it works? You better fucking have wins. You better have an offer, because if you say how it works and you start talking about your communication, that's no longer it.
Right.
It's not your process. It's not your wins. And this is where it becomes critical.
It's not your metabolic priming.
It's not your metabolic priming, right? So this is what you're going to share. Got it. Well, Mrs. Jones, I'm assuming everything you've tried, like you started with a diet, right? Right. Well, why didn't that work? Because I got to tell you, if you're in a calorie deficit and your body's working normally, you're supposed to lose weight. So that's kind of a problem. So if I just give you another diet, do you think you're going to lose weight? Well, I guess not. Well, we should fix that, right? Well, what if I told you the real problem is that all the diets you've tried have led you to something called metabolic adaptation, and that the only way out of this is fixing your metabolism first? Would you believe me? Well, yeah. Great. So do you think we should start with a diet or fixing your metabolism first? We should probably fix my metabolism. Great. The real reason all of my clients are successful is because we don't start with a diet. We start with the metabolism. And so in phase 1 of the program, we're going to create metabolic restoration for you. Now
that's the offer.
Right. Now we're in the offer, right? So I'm not making an offer. I'm just telling you how it works.
Right.
Now, do you think with a functioning metabolism, right, if we restore it and we get you to a great place, you think you could lose fat faster? Yeah. Well, do you want to diet for a really long time? No. Great. That's why we call it fat loss acceleration. That's phase 2. Because you have a primed metabolism and we can speed this process up. Because let me be honest, I don't like the diet either. And I know you don't want to do this for a long time, right? Right. Great. So we're going to accelerate your fat loss, get you to your goals. But I asked you earlier, you said you don't just want to like lose weight and regain it. You want to keep it off, right? Great. Has anyone ever like worked with you on that? No. Well, there's a host of habits that we actually teach our clients in phase 3 that allows them to keep this weight off forever and never need us or any other program again. Does that sound good? Great. What questions do you have?
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent.
Right? And so there's no sales, there's no money, there's no duration. I'm literally giving you the wins because tangibly, you as the client are like, oh, I'm going to fix my metabolism. I'm going to lose weight. I'm never going to regain it. I got everything I wanted. It was never about a process, sales calls. Like every coach listening to this right now is like, oh my God. In my sales presentation, I talk about how we check in every week, how we send text messages, how we get on calls.
You know when you talk about that after they hire you?
After they fucking pay.
Yeah. And you know what's funny, by the way? Okay, all the way back to the first point that Jason made, he did a great presentation. He knows how to sell. He knows how to pull the person into this commitment. You got to deliver.
The end.
You got to deliver. If you don't deliver, he just sounds like a slick, talker.
Yeah, which
he
just fleeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You may sell a few
do that
people.
100 times,
Right.
and listen, you'll make $100,000.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when people like, you can't sell something that the internet says you don't produce, and the internet it's a spotlight today.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm armed with case studies of clients selling their cars and becoming a 6-figure earner, or people from 6 figures to 7 figures, or 7 figures to multiple 7 figures. Like I've got the case studies to back it up, so I'm super confident presenting that. But at that point, you're basically saying, okay, great. Like, do you have any questions? No. Great. When do you want to get started?
Yeah.
Price isn't discussed, duration, and obviously they're going to ask you price. The investment is blah, blah, blah. It's always an investment.
Yeah, but
price.
you make it. It's not the most important part of this whole process.
It's almost an assumption.
It's just like what you went back to the Range Rover, like the difference of the Range Rover being 120, 130, like that. If it's somewhere, that's not the deciding factor. No. Get me in it. Let me drive it. Let me feel it. Tell me all the cool bells and whistles, all that stuff, and then I'll be like, okay, I want it. And then we go, oh, how much is it again?
Yep.
And then you can break all that shit down.
Yeah. So I mean, and you're one of the first people in the space that we found that gets all of this, because what we saw for a long time were